This podcast discusses themes of mental health, which some people may find emotive, such as suicide or other adult-themed content. The information contained in this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. All views expressed are solely those of individuals involved and do not represent the opinions of any entity whatsoever with which we have been, are now, or will be affiliated. The information is not meant to diagnose or treat any mental health condition. If you're experiencing mental health symptoms, we encourage you to contact a mental health service within your community. If you're experiencing a mental health emergency, please seek the relevant support and interventions by presenting to your local accident and emergency department or contacting the relevant emergency services.
You're listening to the Men's Mental Health Podcast, The Man Hug.
In this special edition Man Hug, we send our roving reporter, Conleth Kelly, to the location of the new Samaritans suicide prevention film, where he will be catching up with everyone involved in its creation.
I'm keeping the microphone very close to me because we've got some music in the background here. This is Conleth, by the way, from the Man Hug. Conleth, the buttery-voiced one. Just saying that we're actually here at a venue. What are we recording? We're recording, well, we're not recording. You lot are all recording. You've been part of a Samaritans advert around suicide prevention or suicide awareness, or we'll talk about that in a sec, but I'm just going to pass the mic around, so if you just introduce yourselves, like you know, so off you go.
Hi, I'm Erin.
Hi, I'm Jack.
Hi, I'm Katie Ann.
Okay, and what are the three of you all doing here then? Okay.
Well, recently we've just assembled 200 lanterns.
Yes.
But Erin and me are dancing in the production. Well, in the advert, and Jack.
I am not allowed to dance.
Why not?
No. Strict instructions.
Oh, right.
Yeah, but you were a special feature yesterday.
True. Yeah.
Yes.
I had a big role yesterday
Big role in the acting.
in the scene. Yeah.
Yeah. Why don't you tell us about that?
So I walked into this party.
Yeah.
And I was the life of the party. Yeah. No, it was just in the background, but we needed a lot of commotion, so I just seen where I walked in, and it all kicked off.
Nice.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So why are we here today, though? What was the reason for it?
So we've been commissioned by the Samaritans to raise awareness on the subject for the 10th of September, which is Suicide Awareness Day. And our production manager / director, Laura Macy, has felt really deeply about this subject, and she's really wanted to raise more awareness to it. So she actually was approached by the Samaritans, which was leading her last video, which was Way Out. The Way Out movement by Nicolina. The song was by Nicolina, and the Samaritans, seeing this that Laura did completely on her own with no help, financial help or anything, and they've seen this and they know that she can produce something that they need, and something that they want. So.
Okay, so it's around. Is it suicide awareness or suicide tackling suicide? Like, I know it's. Is it a fine line or?
I've heard both, but I think it's awareness. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you think suicide? Do you think it's preventable?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think the more people learn to talk about it, and like we are now, like we're all normalising that, like this is something that people go through, and even the way that whenever you see it, the video, the way it is perceived is just, there can be small things that happen in somebody's life to make them feel this way. It's not just one day you wake up and it just happens. It's something that can
be prevented as well. Prevented if you talk about it and talk about the little things, and don't brush off the little things. That's what it's about, isn't it? You know, not brushing off, or not, I don't know what the word is, like not like invalidating somebody's feelings when something has happened, even if it's been small. Those small things can build up to become a really big thing if you don't talk about them.
Yeah. So you say about, how little things build up and the pressures get on top of you.
Yeah.
Looking at those things, because sometimes actually maybe approaching someone and saying, do you feel suicidal? How would you feel maybe around doing something like that?
I think if it was one of my friends, I'd be comfortable. I feel they'd be comfortable talking to me about it.
Yeah.
That's a question I could ask, but a stranger I wouldn't, or someone I didn't know that well, I wouldn't go straight into that.
Yeah.
But with me mates, I think I could say, I could say to them, like, if you ever feel like that, I'm here.
Yeah.
And then, maybe from time to time ask them, because sometimes they wouldn't approach me, even if they were.
Yeah.
So I think sometimes pushing them a little bit does help.
I think sometimes it's almost reading the room, and if you can see, even just asking if someone's okay, it doesn't have to be straight to the jugular of this question. It can just be, and it could be nothing. It could just be, oh yeah, sorry, I've had a really stressed day or whatever. But like it's almost like you say, the awareness of us being aware of other people and not being so in ourselves, and like, especially like you say with like your friends, like if you can see, because they're your friends, if you can see something's not right, it's like having the courage to be like, right, are you okay? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Okay, because maybe, have you ever heard of the myth? It's an awful myth. It's one I can't stand. Oh, if you talk about suicide, it puts the idea of suicide into their head. Have you ever heard of that before, or?
No, I've not heard
brilliant.
of that. Yeah, which is
I've
obviously
never.
really good, because that just is so far from the truth. Because actually, sometimes if you bring awareness to it to somebody, and you just ask them that question upright,
It makes it seem so much smaller as
It
well.
does,
when it's like a taboo subject, and once you get it out there, it's like so much smaller.
Possibly they might have been through, or you might have been through something similar that they're feeling, but you don't necessarily speak about it. But actually, if you just say the word suicide, and you can say, okay, that's all right. A lot of people feel like that, but it doesn't mean you have to do anything.
Because how often the role that you said whenever you came into it, you're the life and soul of the party in your scene, and then something kicked off. How many times you actually heard of someone who's actually maybe committed suicide, and you went, I never knew, they were always so happy and they were always so... why do you think this actually happens, or how can we stop this from happening?
I think this comes from a learned behaviour, like that's their way of coping with how they feel. And again, referring back to the video, I feel like the part that Luke is playing in this, he's been taught in different scenarios of his life to just like crack on and deal with it, and he probably will in real life he might paint a smile on his face and act like everything's all right, but then whenever it's behind closed doors he might feel a completely different way. And I think that's where that comes from. It's almost like they have to overcompensate for how sad they're feeling to bring everyone
else into it that you're all right, then you'll believe it yourself, I suppose.
Yeah. I think it also probably comes from that thing of, often like we're told, because there's so much going on in the world, we can almost make ourselves feel like our problems are not as significant of those bigger worldly problems that are going on. But actually, you should never compare your problem to the next person's problem, because how it affects you is so personal and so individual, and how you manage it and how you can cope with it, that it doesn't matter how small or big the problem is in your eyes. If it's making you feel a certain way, then it's something you should talk about.
Because one thing, I don't know if you realise, one thing you've been saying between the three of you is you've been saying look, and you've been saying he, and you've been saying men, all those kind of things. Do you think there's a difference between men and women whenever it comes to talking around these things?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think even just like experience with men in my life is that they struggle to open up about how they feel. And I think from a protective point of view, sometimes I've had men in my life feel that, that's not their place to talk about that with me, because they are protecting me and what I know. Almost they put that above what they should do, and it kind of boils down to that traditional, a man should be the strong one, and a man should be the man of the household, where that comes from. And maybe that it's not spoken about so much as women love to get together and talk about how they feel. We love it.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I think stereotypically we don't mind having a chit chat, and it could just be like me and Katie Ann have just done it. We were putting our makeup on because we're going to have a shoot in a moment, and we spoke about something that I think that was quite a rare moment. And we weren't even necessarily looking at each other, but we were both doing our tasks, and we just happened to talk about something that actually was quite deep and quite important. And I think that's why we spoke about. I remember we've spoke about it before, and about these things like man sheds, that like they need something to almost do with their hands to take off the fact that they're letting themselves be so vulnerable in front of another man.
A vulnerable position to be in, for sure. Opening up to anybody is vulnerable, and you don't necessarily know when you open up how that's going to make you feel as well, which I think sometimes is why I compress my feelings, because I don't really want to know how that's going to make me feel. So yeah, I think
Yeah, no, I was going to say I feel really lucky because my group of mates, we've always talked about stuff like that.
That's great.
And I know that's not the case at all. Especially like the older generation.
Yeah.
But I think like my generation coming through, it's like we're getting the lesson now. Like we know that it's alright.
That's good.
Yeah, that's really
positive. Because I don't think women ever see it as like being. I don't see a man being vulnerable as something like as a turn off or as something that makes him less masculine. For me, when a man is vulnerable, that is for me one of the most masculine moments that he can have, is when he's vulnerable and open.
Because some of the things we actually have is this toxic masculinity, the way we're actually socialised. It's like, boys don't cry, man up, like, all these kind of things. All these things are actually there. And also I see it within the female society as well. But whenever it comes to men under 50, suicide is the biggest killer of men under the age of 50. And 75% of all suicides are men under the age of 50. And they're not known to mental health services at all. So this is an epidemic, and so we have to think, and it's around normalising the word suicide and just saying it out there. You would not be aware of a fantastic footballer who played for Leeds United, and he's a Welsh wonder, Gary Speed, and I was watching a documentary about him the other day. Again, I've watched it twice. And just more or less the day before he committed suicide, he was on TV, he was there with his friends, the whole lot, and they didn't know anything. And he was asking all about them and their families, and he was a lovely man, lovely husband, things like this, lovely father. And next thing out of the blue, he committed suicide, and everybody adored him. But he didn't maybe open up. I don't know, but it's around this opening up. So the sad bit about it is, it's also, sadly suicide does happen. But how do you feel about those who've been left behind, about supporting them as well? Have you any thoughts or feelings about that?
I think it's personal to the individual who is left. Some people really encourage like going and seeking help. We were talking about this before as well. It's going and seeking help from somebody who's completely almost completely out of the situation. But I do think stuff like that is very individual, and I think it also changes on the circumstances, how that person's left. Like how they have. Like, I think it changes a lot.
I think I've heard of so many people feeling different emotions. I know people who have lost people to suicide, and I think that I have heard of people being angry, that being an emotion that they feel, and then also, almost feeling disappointed in themselves because how didn't they see, or how didn't they know, or, there's different, or why wasn't it obvious to me? I thought I knew them. And I think there's, people feel such a range of emotions. I don't think you could really pin how it's going to make one individual feel, unless it's happened to that individual.
Okay, and because one thing, I've got homework for the three of you now. Okay, because there's one thing which we use, and it's a Zero Suicide Alliance. And if you go onto the website, Zero Suicide Alliance, it's been set up within Liverpool, and it's to train people up to actually be aware of suicide, to help people who've actually maybe contemplating suicide, how to speak to them, how to confront them. This has been set up in 2017, I think it was, and it's been
I think 2.5 million people have actually trained through it, and it's a free service. Okay, so spread the word out. Zero Suicide Alliance, but it's also about being able to see, say, and signpost. Actually being able to see possible what are the signs, the symptoms of maybe somebody who could be vulnerable, being able to approach them, say them and things like that, and also importantly to signpost them. If it is somebody who's maybe trying to commit suicide, obviously it's a A&E, 999, dangerous situation. But there's this is your second piece of homework. You go onto your phones and you download Hub of Hope, which is done by Chasing Stigma. Hub of Hope, basically you just type in your postcode, where you are, and what problems you actually have, and it'll tell you exactly what's within the area to help you.
That's amazing.
And Liverpool, I know we're actually Merseyside, whatever, and this is national. The listeners on the podcast are probably sick of us talking about it, but we just want to keep hitting home about it. It's a free service, and it's to actually help people. And it was actually somebody tried to commit suicide who actually set it up. And there are so many things. We've got Liverpool football therapy. There's so many different things in Liverpool. So what are you hoping to get out of today then? Just finally, just sum it all up.
I think it's amazing to be working on a project like this. Like, whenever I've worked with Laura in the past, like, she always works on really amazing projects and like projects with a passion and with a purpose behind them.
She'll stand behind you, like, you know, to listen to this.
There she is. Wink, wink. Use me again. No, but she does. It's true. Like, even the Way Out movement was about mental health, and so I think to be able to work on a project like this it's a really great feeling, because it means that people are doing things to make a difference. So even though it's an awful thing, suicide is an awful thing, to be doing something that hopefully is going to raise awareness and hopefully prevent suicide, that's something so special to be a part of.
Okay. And it's also doing it creatively. There's so many different ways, and doing it through dance, doing it through film, acting, singing, songs, art, the whole lot. The arts. I'll just leave it at that, okay? I want to thank you so much for your time, your contributions, but most importantly for helping save people's lives, okay? Just think of that, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got the star of the show here in front of us. Like, you know, we've got Luke, who's you've been acting for quite a period of time, haven't you?
Yeah, I've been acting for about 8 years now.
Yeah.
And
because I know Erin, who was on earlier there, like, you know, she was saying she studied with you as well, didn't she?
Yeah, we went to the same college. We both went to Liverpool College. We were both on different courses, but yeah, we met there.
Yeah, that's it. I'm really sorry for you having to meet her at that stage in life, like, you know, but, you know, she's totally head case. But can you just maybe explain what your role today and what has actually been going on, if that's okay?
So basically, Laura approached me with this incredible concept. This subject is so dear to me anyway. It was such weird circumstances when Laura actually approached me, because I've been writing for the past year a script, and it's all about men's mental health, male suicide, and the exact concept of this, which is speak up.
Nice.
And it's important, I think, for men to realise, and women, but especially men, who bottle up emotions and feel like being vulnerable is a weakness, when it's not. It makes you human. And I think the power of a film like this is, you know, we all listen to music to let our emotions out. We all watch movies. We, in our own space, feel free to be human. But in public, we had to wear this mask. And I think that mask, and keeping up that mask for people, is what's driving people into kind of a spiral. Because unless you face what you're feeling, they're like a sat-nav. They're a message to tell you that you need to work on yourself and your inner self, whether it's past trauma, whether it's something going on in your life, whether it's pressure, whether it can be a multitude of things. But once you find the root cause and you have support from other people, because even just getting it off your chest, talking to someone, journaling, you know, it helps me so much when I've got something going on to just write down on a piece of paper and just journal whatever I feel without thinking, review it and think, okay, it's out, it's a release, and then you can find a way through it once it's out of your head and out of there. Because if it stays in your head, it festers, and it's the same with emotions. Unless you know what's causing them, you're never gonna be able to get through.
Yeah, and this is an actor saying these things who's skilled at this as well. But sometimes it can be very difficult for people. You know, maybe they got social isolation, or there is this kind of, as you said as well, it's this cultural thing. Man up, we said before, like, whenever you're playing sports in school, rugby, don't show emotion, don't cry, things like that. And it is ingrained into us. Yeah. So, but you said that you're writing the script. I don't give too much away, but is it mostly just all around this, around the men's mental health issues?
It's funny because literally I finished the first draft.
Well done.
And I thought, what can I do to give back? Because I was so invested in this subject. So I only volunteered for Samaritans. Right. 2 days before Laura approached me to be in the film,
There's fate there, sorry.
It was crazy, and we were both on Zoom, and we couldn't get our words out. Yeah. And it was just like it was meant to be, because we were both so passionate about the same thing. And I had the email to send her because I thought she's never going to believe me. So I sent her the email, showed her 2 days before. Yeah. How can you, 2 days before? So I applied to just be a volunteer on the phone, and here comes an acting job, doing what I love, and being able to help people through the art form I love the most is just invaluable. Yeah.
It really is, and it's just, what you're doing, it's going to go onwards and upwards and things like that. But, the crux of it at the end of the day, which I said to the other group as well, you're saving people's lives by doing this, and also doing the Samaritans thing. Yeah. I think that is unbelievable. It is fantastic. It's hard. It's emotions. So just for you with doing this, exposing yourself, maybe taking other people's problems on. Is there anything that you do to actually maybe anything else to let off the steam? You said about you write your thoughts down, but is there anything else that you maybe help?
For me, it's got to be the gym. Yeah. The gym is I can be having the most stressful, pressure, life stuff on. I can go to the gym and I lift weights, and people think, oh, you go to the gym because you want to go to the gym and be a gym pit. No, it's not. I've got to go to the gym, because unless I go to the gym, I've got nowhere to let off that energy and anything that I've got going on, and I feel brand new once I've trained. So with your script that you've actually been doing, what's hopefully the plan of it? Is it a film? Is it a play? It's a film. Right. Basically, it's about a fighter with inner demons. Right. Yeah. And childhood trauma. And the story basically is, you realise through the end that it's not just him with demons. Everyone in the story has their own demons. Yeah. They just mask them well. Yeah. Because people's personas are real good disguises of what is truly going on deep down, and that's why it's so important to never trust what you see in people. You never know what people are going through. You never know anything at all. You really don't, because someone with a smile can be broken inside. Yeah. And it's so important to check up on people, to also make space to just listen. I think the most valuable thing in the world that people don't realise is just being an ear for someone. Yeah. You don't have to give money, you don't have to give all these resources and take people out. You don't need to do anything bold, just listen. Just, to look someone in the eyes and listen is the most beautiful human thing that we have. It is, and it's taking those things into account, because obviously this is around suicide prevention. Well, is it suicide prevention, or is it just talking about suicide, getting it out there? I think it's suicide is a big theme, but I also think it's about speaking up. It's about speaking up on whatever you're going through, from what I've picked up from this project, and what I hope is that it means people won't have to battle alone with whatever they're going through. It means that people won't have to feel like they have to keep their emotions and their circumstances in the dark and suffer and feel like they have to put a face on to the world when they don't. I think that's more important than the suicide is massive and so important, but I think that's the extremity of it. I think we need to look out for everyone to avoid that, because that's a future impact of not facing and helping people.
It's one of those things like it's to stop it getting to that stage. So exactly. As you do, it's that continual thing, whatever, and it's also about empowering people to make them realise that they can do things around this. Yeah. So you think of yourself. We keep saying there's 4 of us do this podcast, and the therapy we've had through going through this, the emotions we go through, things that has actually been exceptional. So I'm sure it's the same for yourself with doing these roles.
I think for me, I hope from doing this that if I can share my vulnerability on camera, you can share yours. If I can sit in a room with, I think there was about 50 extras there yesterday, right in that room behind me, a small little room. Then there was about 8 people in front of me, and I have to go to that place instantly and forget everyone's there. And I think if I can be vulnerable and share myself being in a vulnerable state, please, other people, be bold and be brave enough to do it too, because your emotions are your truth, and they're what will set you free.
I can't ask for a better finish than that. Just want to once again thank you for your time and your effort for actually doing this, for coming out here doing this, but more importantly again for helping save people's lives. Okay,
thank you for having me.
Thank you very much. All right, take care. So I have been able to grab was it 1 minute 47 seconds I got with yourself?
Yes,
doing that. Please introduce yourself and why you are here.
So my name is Laura Macy, and I'm the director of the project Speak Up. And the Samaritans basically got in touch with me after my previous video came out. So I directed a concept video called Way Out, which came out in May this year, and that was to raise money for the Mental Health Foundation. And the Samaritans saw the video and asked me if I'd produce a similar video for World Suicide Prevention Day, which is happening on the 10th of September this year.
So, you're doing this video, and people will be able to see the concept of it later.
Yes.
We're not going to give anything away. But the idea of it is just like, is it to prevent suicide or to raise awareness of it? What do you think in particular for yourself?
A bit of both, really. So the message behind the video isn't that we're trying to fix anyone's problems or solve the problem of suicide. It's basically just to raise awareness of the Samaritans and the work that they do, and overall just the message that people are there to support you through whatever it is that you're experiencing, and that someone will be there through that entire journey and not try and force you into feeling any particular way. They're just there to comfort you and to be there to support you, basically.
Okay, and some of the things that we actually, I am being kind of quick here because I know how many demands are on you at the minute, but do you feel that you are aiding people's mental health through the work that you actually are doing?
I really hope so. I think I noticed it on set anyway, at least for the people involved. It's such a gorgeous way of creatives to, I don't know how to describe it, for them, a gorgeous creative outlet, I think, for people to deal with mental health issues. I know a lot of the cast and crew in particular have struggled with mental health in the past, and I know a lot of them use art as a way of dealing with their emotions and expressing themselves. So in terms of the production side of things, it's really nice to be able to bring together a team of people and to have a great time on set, but also do something that's powerful and that hopefully will move a lot of people and help a lot of people to realise there's support out there.
It's really interesting because the podcast we just done just released yesterday, it was all about the arts.
Really?
It was about there's a place in Birkenhead called Ron's Place, and it was all about the work that he did for himself, and so many different things actually involved in it. And also we had Mersey Wiley on singing, and how singing actually helps her with her feelings, things like that. But just out of curiosity for yourself, do you actually prefer your individual work, your individual creativity, or is it creativity within the whole group?
definitely within the whole group. I feel like, yeah, I can vibe off other people more, and I think I can only do so much with one brain, and I think once other people are there helping me and like giving their own creative inputs, then I think a project can blossom into something that you just never expected it to do in the first place.
Yeah, because obviously the idea of suicide, sadly it does happen.
Yeah.
But I want to ask you a question. Is suicide preventable?
Yeah, I definitely think it is. I think with the right support and guidance there, then I think we can prevent it. And hopefully with more awareness around the subject and more awareness of the support that's out there, then hopefully we can do more to prevent.
Okay, so some of your dancers there earlier, I've given them some homework. So
Okay.
sorry, I'm giving you this homework as well.
That's okay.
2 pieces of homework you got to do. One, check out. You need to do Zero Suicide Alliance.
Yeah.
Check it on Google.
Okay.
It's there. It's free training. It's been downloaded 2.5 million times. People have actually done it. It's from Liverpool.
Yeah.
And the other one as well, I want you to download the Hub of Hope.
Okay.
It's to actually, if there are people who've got issues, got problems, concerns, so they don't get to the stage of suicide, needing emergency treatment, emergency care, emergency input.
Yeah.
It's actually, it's signposting.
Yeah.
It's around signposting. So hopefully with this, what you're actually doing, you aren't doing the big signpost to the Samaritans, is that correct?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. And so, is there anything else that you think maybe people could go to for help support, maybe around mental health issues?
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of local charities out there. I know Mind are quite local as well. There's also the Open Door charity that one of our dancers works for. Yeah. But I think just continuing to be brave to open up about it and to discuss it with just whoever's around. It doesn't have to be a charity, for example, just to keep those conversations open so that people know it's okay to be feeling that way and that they can get support from as many people as possible around them.
Yeah, and it is, I think it's also quite lucky because whether it's a good thing, bad thing, but you're surrounded by mostly women, so you do talk compared to men.
Yeah.
The main character you got is a man.
Yeah.
These things, this is reality. 75% of all suicide are men under the age of 50, around there. So, it is, taken on board. But yet women, sadly, it has doubled, really? I think, in the last 2 years as well.
Yeah.
So all I can say is just keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you.
Chill out as well. There's some chocolate. I brought chocolate. It's
Thank
in
you
the
so
agreement.
much.
But please, you're saving people's lives. So thank you so much for this. Okay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Thank
Take care.
You too. Thanks.
Okay. So it's Conleth again. Back. We've got people running around.
Yeah.
And who have we got with us here?
So my name's Ricky. I've got a bunch of roles in this video.
Please tell us.
So head of audio production. Sorry. So currently I'm working on the song to go behind this video.
Right.
I'm also sort of assisting Laura direct. Just really helping like the actors sort of get the emotion of what we're trying to get through visually. Mm-hmm. And then, just general sort of aroundness.
Okay, well, but what I want to ask you, why are you here?
Why am I here? It's a tough question. I think for me is like, obviously, working with the Samaritans is a great charity to work for, and it really hits home for me. The sort of the suicide prevention really hits home for me. As well as everyone else, like a lot of people, I've been through there. Yeah. I've been there. I've been, that low. And it's, for me, it's a really good cause to help and show people that there are supports when you're that low. That it's not the end. There is ways out of this, when you're in that mental state. It's hard to come out of that mindset, and it's hard to know what to do next. And I think with this video, obviously we're showing a story behind it, and it's showing obviously the main character Luke, what he's going through internally, and it's a lot for him. It's a lot for him. But we want to show that there is support out there, and it's having the courage to actually want to seek that support. For me, like I never really felt what I went through. I had to do everything by myself.
Jesus.
And it's tough.
Yeah.
It's really tough. Just to go, just be able to just have a slightly positive mindset. Is tough. Especially when you're that low, it's very much like I can't see anything else. This is the only way out. It's the only way I feel that makes sense. Is to just cut everything.
So basically, it was a case of that's the answer. The answer is just, just go.
Just leave. And it's tough because, when you're in that mindset and when you think the only thing you can do is leave, it's tough because you don't see anything else. And this is not what we're trying to show in this video.
Exactly.
We're trying to show that there is support out there. And that you're not alone. You can, and it's showing that, it's having the courage to reach out and actually seek help. Because to do it by yourself is so tough. It's so tough. It's mentally draining. And you dissociate yourself from everything. And a lot of the times you're not really in it spiritually and physically. You're not in it, but we're trying to show that there is support out there and we can help. We can grab, support from the Samaritans, from friends, from family, that you can pull through this.
And what about, as you said, their friends and family? Is it also a case of making them to be able to say the word suicide? To openly talk about suicide.
100%. I think we still have this negative connotation on suicide. And that if someone's suicidal, I think a lot of people don't know what to do. And I think it's sadly the worst part of it, that we don't know how to help. We don't know how to help anyone who is suicidal. And I think if you look into it, there are loads of resources on how to help. And to be honest, when you're trying to support someone who is suicidal, you don't have to do a lot. You don't have to do a lot. You just have to be there for them. No matter how big or small. It doesn't matter if, even if you just offer to be there on the other side of the phone when they need them. That's all it needs. Sometimes it's, reaching out. Being able to reach out and help and just keep them company. There's a lot of ways we can support someone who's going through those suicidal thoughts. And sadly, not a lot of people know what to do. And there's still this negative connotation of if someone's suicidal, I guess you don't know what to do, and then worse comes to worse, and then you're just there sitting with guilt, and we don't want that. And we don't want anyone going through that at all.
So I think it's also maybe the case of obviously empowering the individual, the person maybe going through this, but also maybe empowering, educating, teaching those around it, and just saying, there is being able to see what the problems are, saying what the problems are, and then being able to signpost and actually saying, okay. And one thing I did love that you said there was just it's not just about the doing something, it's just being there. I keep telling to a lot of students I teach, the most important things within medicine and really is the mouth and the ears, just doing that, whatever ear is most important. So I know you're a busy man. and you have sustained an injury. you know.
A little bit of an injury.
Yeah, he got cramp in his toe, and you looked for a medic, and I just turned around. No, I haven't got a clue. Doing that. But I am going to do something very inappropriate. I'm going to stand up. I'm going to give you a hug, doing that or whatever. So I'm sorry about this, whatever.
No, not at all.
I'm just being selfish or whatever.
Not at all.
So I just want to come on, bring it in.
Doing this.
Well done. No problem at all. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks
Perfect.
anyway. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so we've saved the best to last. All right. Not the pressure. So we're got 3 dancers here. Go on, introduce yourselves.
Hello, my name is Honori Smith.
My name's Owen Daly.
You all right?
And I'm Miko Briscoe.
Okay, and well, I introduced myself off the podcast, like, I'm Conleth, whatever, but they don't know me as Conleth, they just know me as Aaron's dad, doing that. So, just briefly, why have you decided to help out with us today? Just curious.
I got called in last minute last night, but I've never been so excited because, like, when a dance piece means so much, you feel it more, like, in your soul. And I know it sounds like cringe, but like being a part of something that's going to go so far for dancers and help dancers in the future, it feels like I've done something really good. So I'm happy that they actually messaged me last night. And I wish I was first thought, but I wasn't, so it's fine. So I'm here now, and that's all that matters.
What a drop that is, like, doing that. What about yourselves? Like,
I feel like as a dancer, mostly you do it for yourself. Like, it's a career for yourself. But then doing something that will help so many people, like, from any age group, like, dance is one of those things that, like, it exceeds, like, language, and it like anyone who comes from anywhere can look at a dance and be like, wow, that meant a lot. Do you know what I mean? So I feel like it'll be good for anyone who doesn't speak a language that, like, do you know what I mean? It'll just be nice, wouldn't it?
Exactly. Sometimes I think, especially as it relates to mental health, we can't always place a word on it or like a reason or rhyme behind it. It's just a feeling, and for me as well, it's very much dance is that universal language that isn't just for ourselves selfishly, but it's about giving back to the community and telling us.
Selfish, there's no problems, like, it's also because it's what do you get out of it? You have to think of those things. Like, you wouldn't do it if you didn't get something out of it. And is it, whenever you're dancing, do you feel a difference maybe dancing by yourself and dancing to a audience? I don't know. I haven't got a clue. You tell me.
Yeah. Go on. I'd say yeah, definitely. Like, I just feel like dancing for yourself, like in a room, just on your own, and even though as cheesy as it sounds, like it's like a little emotional, like, release in it. Like, it's just like a nice, and I feel like no matter what, like, just being able to like whatever song you want, like, it'll just, and whatever you're feeling, you could dance out, like, and be happy, and like, if you're sad, just dance. If you're angry, just dance. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's a nice escape, and it also, like, would help with, like, our mental health. Like, if like we're feeling a certain type of way, as I've just said, we could dance it out, and, like, as cheesy as it sounds, again, dance it out, but, like, it's real. And, like, dancing in an audience, I feel like you're doing it for them, but when you dance, it's a lot of pressure, and, like, it gives you a chance to perform, but it's also, like, sometimes you need to take a step back from that and, like, do it for yourself sometimes.
And it's just that, I'm going to say, I'm going to be stereotypical here. As a bloke, like, just thinking, oh, what are you on about? That kind of thing. It's just dancing. But you aren't talking to the converted here, like, myself in particular. Because, like, our Erin, my other daughter as well, started dancing from a very early age. And what you see in it, the pride. So what I'm saying now, from a family member, from a loved one, the pride they must have in you, seeing this, that must be quite rewarding as well for you.
My mum was a dancer. So dance has gone, like, right through our family. So for her to see me living her dream as well, that must be touching to her, to know that she's done really well to pass her talent onto us, because there's 3 of us. My brother did try and dance, but he ended up going through situations at school that weren't really nice, which is understandable. Most boys can't handle that, so they do end up dropping out, but he was really good, and it's quite sad to see that he never continued with it. But for her to have, like, the comfort of knowing that her career is not ended because she'll continuously see me and my sister do it, I think that's nice to have in the family, and nice for her to have as well.
So what you're actually doing here today, you're all offering your own time up here, aren't you? Why are you doing this? Why are you just going, yeah, I'll do this for nothing?
I think it's just a love. Like, when you love something, you don't necessarily care about, like, a price attached to it. You just do it because you love it, really.
Like, even though this will be, like, our careers, or, like, all our careers, hopefully, it's, like, it's so nice to just take a step back and do something, like, that will help so many people. It's like a
day out as well.
Day out?
It is actually a day out. I think I'd
lovely.
rather come here and not get paid for it than go for a meal and pay for a meal.
Or be in
Like,
bed.
this is like,
Do you know what I mean? I'll probably be in bed.
Like, we're all mates, we're all having fun, even though I don't know most people.
Great
Like, I'd still
time.
get on with them because we all relate to something.
I can see that, like, you know, coming from an outsider coming in and just going downstairs, so, oh, they all know everybody, like, you know, they don't, you know, doing this, and it's that community. And do you feel that, do you actually have that within your dance? Is that a big thing for you in particular?
I feel like we don't need to know each other to get on.
Oh no, definitely.
It's just an instinctual, like, spiritual connection almost.
And it's like through all rehearsals when we've been dancing together, it's just like a nice, like, community little thing.
So many memories made out of something that's like so small as well.
And the other thing as well, though, what I'm doing as well, what I just want to keep heading home to everybody who's actually been interviewing, I just want to thank you. Because obviously it's what you're doing to inspire people, things like this, but what you're partaking in today, you are saving people's lives here, you know, so think of that and hopefully getting tingles thinking about that. And you should have big heads. You should have egos. There's no problems with that. But I'm going to finish off now, but does anybody want to say anything else?
No, I think it's just
all fine. Yeah.
I just want to say, like, for the people listening at home, that dance isn't just for dancers, it's for everybody. Yeah. Like, every human is a dancer, and there shouldn't be a stigma around, like, what is a dancer, what isn't a dancer. It's for all of us to enjoy.
Well, just to say that, I'm very disappointed because the venue that we were in, I'm disappointed there's not a blue plaque down on the floor down there, because only last weekend my wife and I danced to Calamity Jane, Whip Crack Away, did this, whatever, and we were the only ones on the dance floor and the spotlight was on us, so I agree. I can't dance for anything, but it was just like, you just feel the music.
Did you feel good though?
Oh, loved it.
That's all that matters there. That's all that matters.
So anyway, thank you for saving people's lives. Appreciate it, okay? Thank you.
Thank you.
Final guest. I thought the last one was best last, but here we got our Amelia. Amelia and I did have a chat there earlier. So, Amelia, can you just tell me what your role is, what you're actually doing here today? Sorry, the flag's just fallen down behind her, but, you know, this is live audio, so it's all okay. Go on.
So I'm part of the production team. I do the cinematography for the BTS, so capturing all the behind the scenes, capturing the making of the project that we're working on.
Okay. And you're giving your own time up here.
Yeah.
You're here. Mm-hmm. Why? Why are you doing this?
I feel like I couldn't think of a more important and meaningful reason to give your time to. And this is more than just like a project that we're working on for ourselves, or like to show that we've done this project. This is for people that need to become more aware of suicide and suicide prevention, and that people have these feelings and people are going through this every day and we don't necessarily see it because we're not talking about it.
Yes.
And there's this whole stigma that you can't talk about it or you don't feel you can.
Yeah.
And that's why I think it's important to mention that this year's theme around suicide prevention is start the conversation, because starting the conversation breaks the stigma that we can't talk about it.
Yeah. Because some of the things where I've actually, I remember in the past hearing colleagues talking around it, they just said, "Oh, don't mention suicide because you put the idea into their head." You know, have you heard of that myth before?
No.
Brilliant, that's excellent.
I'm glad I haven't heard of that before, but I think that's the issue. Like, it's like, ooh, don't talk about that. Yeah. No one's, and I'm guilty of it myself. I don't like to talk about it because it's hard to talk about it, and you don't know what kind of reaction you're going to get from people. You don't know how people see it or view it. Everyone's got their own opinions, but at the end of the day, people are struggling, and the more we say, oh, don't talk about that, the more those people are struggling won't reach out for help that they need.
Because but what you are doing here, doing this filming this production, one thing I want to ask you, is it for the individual, the sufferer, or for maybe those people around, you know, people, loved ones or family members?
I think for both.
Yeah.
I think it's obviously really important for that person who's suffering, but I think the main drive behind this message is that people are so wrapped up in their own lives, and we're all guilty of doing that. But just take a moment to just maybe ask an extra question. Like when we were talking before, you said, instead of just saying, how are you? And people go, oh, I'm okay. Yeah, I'm fine. Maybe press them a little bit more, try and find how they're really feeling, or prompt them to see to ask themselves, how am I actually feeling? Am I okay? What is this feeling that I have inside me? And talking about it often helps resolve it. I feel like you can go round and round in circles in your mind, but when you speak to someone, it's like, oh, that's what I've been feeling, or that's what I've been thinking. So I think it's important for people who don't feel suicidal to ask those questions, or be aware that people feel that way. And also those people that are feeling suicidal, it's okay to just say, I'm not doing okay and I need help.
Yeah, because one of the things that with this podcast in particular, the four of us who actually do it, four fellas, we've been doing it for over nearly a year and a half now, just one podcast a month. But the therapy we've had from just from talking and getting out there, and I have friends coming up to me now and going, well, this is how I feel. And it's all to do with that normalisation, you know. And I'm sorry to say, it is men's mental health. Like, you know, obviously it's mental health across the board, but, you know, fellas, we're crap at this. Like, you know, we're absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
But one thing you did mention earlier, which I thought was actually really interesting, you just said about, you know, maybe probing the person, actually ask them. You gave an example of maybe of a child, they would do a colouring in or look at a picture or something like that. Can you just describe what that was, please?
Yeah, when I was younger, I did counselling in school, and one of the things, I didn't know how to talk about my feelings. I grew up in a household which didn't really speak out about how you felt. And when I went to counselling, I still didn't know how to do that. And I know a lot of kids don't know how to talk about how they feel, or don't really understand what it is they're feeling if they feel a certain way. So one of the things that we used to do was we would go in, and the first thing we would do is look at this tree that had different characters on, and it would be like someone was angry, or someone was upset, someone was feeling lonely, and you'd colour in the one that you felt like, and then you'd be probed then. Well, why do you feel like this one? This one looks sad. Why do you feel sad? Or why do you feel like you're curling into yourself? Why do you do that? And just, I think it's important at a young age as well to give that support, because I feel like men and women don't grow up with that support. They don't get asked how they're really feeling. They don't get taught about their feelings or their emotions or how to deal with them. And I think, like we were saying earlier, with men's mental health, it's when you grow up in school and you're doing sports, so suck it up, get on with it, and, you know, toughen up, don't cry. You're a boy, boys don't cry. Like, that is instilled in us from a really, really young age, whilst we're still developing mentally. And we believe that's how we should be, and then we grow up as adults and we're not able to process our own emotions because we never learnt it.
I think it's also quite sad, as you said, maybe you came from that kind of family, that background where it wasn't. So it is also about breaking that cycle. And, you know, it's having the guts, you know, I shouldn't be saying those words, they're the power of a word, just having the inclination going, I would need to make a change for my future, as in the future, my future family, to help with them as well.
100%. It's a generational trauma, isn't it? It's passed down, and I think that's in my personal life. I feel like that's why I've faced the things I didn't want to face in my life, because I don't want to be a part of that cycle anymore. I don't want people I know to be a part of that cycle and continue to teach young people these ways of coping with our feelings and these mechanisms, and then they grow up to make the same mistakes.
Because I know personally, sometimes I've never gone for therapy. I maybe should, and things like this, whatever. But sometimes I think therapists should be not just part of the NHS. They should be on the high street, like, you know, just going to somewhere, going, I need to open up and talking about these things and actually getting out there, because holding it in does cause problems. Doing that,
and I would say that holding it in is it's always going to come out. And you've got to face it one way or another. And I've said before now, I think everyone should go to therapy. I think it's the best thing I've done for myself. The best thing you could invest in is yourself and is your mental well-being, and I'll always say that.
Listen, Amelia, just thank you so much, and thank you for volunteering to come up here, and once again, thank you for giving out your time for this production, for doing it. And as I've said to others, thank you for helping save people's lives. Okay?
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's an honour to be a part of it all.
Take care, all right?
Please make sure that you follow us on Twitter. It's @themanhug. Thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next month.
If you or anybody else you know is struggling with their mental health, visit hubofhope.co.uk or download the app today and find local and national mental health support.